Well, 24 years ago today, iconic rapper Tupac Shakur was shot here in Las Vegas.
The rapper was shot inside of a BMW while stopped at a red light on Koval and Flamingo. We all know the story. He then died 6 days later. The shooting happened after a Mike Tyson fight against Bruce Sheldon at MGM Grand. And then there was a brawl inside of the lobby right after that fight. Tupac was in the car with Marion Suge Knight, who was grazed by a bullet. No one has ever been arrested for Tupac's murder.
Welcome to the Only One Mic podcast. Called J-Rob, Brooklyn Dre. J-Rob is in the building.
What's good?
Yeah, man.
What's up?
We already know what the internet and the media has been buzzing about, the last few days with the arrest of Keefe D. We could have jumped on this the day that it actually happened, but we wanted to, get our information together, let a few things air out first. And then we're going to come on with, our analysis of the situation. So, brothers, we all know what it's about. We know what Keefe D has said several times.
He just keep talking. He probably still talking.
Now, this is the thing is that he's been on these, various platforms like Vlad and, Art of Dialogue. He's been on it and he's been pretty much telling this story for quite some time now. You know what I mean? And I know he had his proffer agreement and everything like that and wrote his book and all which he was promoting. Why now? Why now do you think that he's going to be charged with, was it first degree murder?
We got to give Keefe D some credit first, man. This might be the dumbest thing since OJ still trying to steal his own stuff back.
Yeah. We got to.
Hey, you know what? I gotta be honest. We can't classify this dude with OJ. The juice is the juice. I mean, at the end of the day,
OJ was trying to steal his own stuff back, man.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, that's not really the crime. OJ didn't get on there and say, well, by the way, I did kill it. We're not detailing how it was done.
Nah, you know what though? OJ did do that. He wrote a book. If I did do it, I would have did it like this.
If keyword, brother, if.
Right.
If. So it's not like Keefe D say, well, if I was to kill Tupac, this would happen. He's detailing, in which we will play some clips in which it shows where he incriminated himself on several occasions. He detailed in several interviews exactly how the night went down. And these are not like interviews that were just done yesterday. And it's like, oh snap, Keefe D is confessing. This was some time now. So I mean, the feds have the same information that we have. They have access to the same interviews and things that we have. Why do you think that it's happening now?
I'm gonna be honest. I tend to look outside the box. So I'm looking at Puffy and the Ciroc situation and the parent company of Ciroc and how he's actually suing them. And that company is a multi-billion-dollar corporation. So, when you deal with billions of dollars, they have a lot of pull and they can do certain things. And I honestly think this is a way to get Puff Daddy.
Yeah, a lot of people are looking at the big fish on this whole thing. Like Keefe D is not what they really want.
Also, it's election time. So it would be nice to have Keefe D and Puff Daddy on somebody's, campaign run. You know what I mean? Dragging their name on it. So that'd be good too. But yeah, I'm with J-Rob. I'm a conspiracy theorist. I started diving into that whole Ciroc thing, and that looks crazy. You know what I mean? Yeah. And to be honest with you, going back to what you guys are saying, is that this information is old news. Years ago, when he put this out, I thought he had like some super sort of deal that kept him exonerated from this whole thing. And when he said in that video years ago, I told somebody, I might have been one of y'all, when he said, I passed the gun to these kids in the back of the car. I said, that's it. Yeah. First of all, just to be in the car, we all know that's accessory to murder anyway, just to be in the car.
I think that he didn't understand what he signed as agreement. I think he thought that he had immunity. Logically, that would be the only thing that makes sense to me.
But not in Nevada.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, that might have been good where he was at, but not in Nevada.
Yeah, I believe he thought he had immunity with the feds or something of that nature, and he was able to, talk what he wanted to talk, which is stupid.
It's very dumb. It's very dumb.
Yeah,
I learned something new. I learned that the proffer agreement basically just is something whereas you can admit everything to us right now, but we can't use it against you. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Right now.
As long as you tell them the truth. As long as you tell them the truth with the information. Because the minute the information becomes false, now we can prosecute you.
Right. So I guess when he started tying himself up to who's on first with the shooting, then it becomes, all right, we're going to open it back up. But right now, let's jump into Steve Wilson, who's the actual district attorney who's about to prosecute this case. So this is what he had to say.
To ask for a no bail setting, because we believe under Nevada law and the evidence in this case that the proof is evident and the presumption is great that he will be convicted of first-degree murder, and that allows us to ask for a no bail setting. Well, he's no different than any other defendant. I mean, we had a feeling this day was coming in the recent history based upon some of the events that have occurred in the last few years and few months. I like to see the person in person, because on these cases, it's usually me that makes the ultimate decision on how to proceed. So I like to look at a person who's being charged with a crime in such a high-profile case. I like to look at their mannerisms. I like to look at their demeanor. I like to listen to them and kind of get a feel for their attitude. Well, it's a cold case. It's been lingering for 27 years. But I felt there was sufficient legally admissible evidence to move forward. That's why we presented it to a grand jury. The grand jury agreed that there was probable cause to return an indictment. But this case is like no other case. In a court of law, we have to present sufficient legal evidence to hopefully prove his guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. Any case that's 27 years old sometimes presents some challenges. But we feel very confident that the criminal justice system will work in this case.
What else do they need, though? You know what I mean? Anybody that's African American that ever been through the system or know anything about being in the system knew years ago when he said he passed the gun to them kids in the back of the car. That was enough to that was enough to roof them. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that was enough to send them up out of here. So I don't know. Again, we go back to like why they come up with it now, but everybody that's is black, we all would behind closed doors paralegals or something. You know what I mean? So when we heard that, I heard that years ago, and I was like, what did he just say? Yeah. He just passed a gun. I couldn't believe it, man.
It's so crazy that excuse me, that he really got on there and said that. Like it's unbelievable.
I mean, he said that in his initial meeting with Greg Kading. Now, I don't know if that's going to be kind of, some issue that come up in court now, because from what I understand, they're not supposed to record a proffer agreement. I think that was done by Greg Kading on his own. I could be wrong.
The fact that so many of these super gangsters is all just turning out to be a whole facade, man. Like everybody's telling, nobody's honorable. Like everything that we grew up thinking about the streets and seeing in these movies is completely fictitious. Nobody's sticking to the code.
It's been a lie, though.
Yeah,
it's been a lie. You know what the reality of it is now? Is now you can actually see the paperwork on somebody.
Right.
Did something.
Right.
For years.
Technology allows you to actually see the paperwork now. Right.
It's been a lie. How many times have something has happened in the hood and somebody came home and you be like, how in the world did he come home on that?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And none of us knew. And today these people still walk around and they are friends and all kind of other stuff like that.
All types of nonsense.
This is the actual Keefe D audio detailing, what happened with Tupac on that particular night.
I put on my side, that's my little nephew. I'm gonna look out for him, And he pulled on his side.
So you were fitting to blast if you had to, or you were just...
Yeah, if we would have been on our side, I would have blasted.
Okay.
Keefe D
who's seated in the right front passenger seat of the white Cadillac and who has the gun, realizes that he's not going to be in a position to shoot because he's going to have to shoot across the car and across the face of his driver. Keefe D turns around to hand the gun to the back seat, attempting to give it to DeAndre Smith, who would be in the best position to shoot. DeAndre resists, puts his hand up and says, "Nah, no thanks, not me."
I gave it to Dre, and Dre was like, no. And Lane's like, dude, fuck, dude.
Orlando Anderson, who's in the right rear passenger, reaches forward and says, "Give me that motherfucker." Leans over DeAndre Smith out the back window of the Cadillac and begins shooting rapidly into the BMW.
These are old men we're talking about. They should be doing a whole lot better, man. You know what I mean? You know, I think about some of the old guys that raised me and, 65, whatever. I remember they had so much wisdom at this time in life. At 65, these kids are glorifying, straight nuts. I had uncles that, on both sides of my family, they've been in the street doing different things. They would tell you this is not for you.
Right.
You handed a gun to your nephew to tell him to shoot a rapper
on a strip in Las Vegas after
like,
Mike Tyson fight.
It's like shooting somebody in Times Square or something like that.
Yeah, it's a million people out there.
So
the fact that they try to claim that there have not been no eyewitnesses is ridiculous. It's on the strip in Vegas.
You sent your nephew on a dummy mission. You know what I mean? A complete dummy mission, and in one of the most hot, the best, the worst place to shoot somebody in the city. You know what I mean?
City.
On the worst night.
Yeah.
On the worst night.
Now, also what they're saying is that Puffy actually paid $1 million for that hit.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly.
According to Keefe D.
And with this information coming out and being a focus of what they said their investigation is, it really do look like they're looking for Sean P. Diddy Combs to be the big fish in this situation. Allegedly.
Let's go into that for a quick second. Taking Puff off the board, what is the gain from it? Like, explain to the audience, what is the gain from it? Knowing what you guys know in terms of the lawsuit.
He has a lawsuit with the company. I think it's Diego. It might be some better name. It might be Diageo. Make it nice or something like that, nice in French or whatever, He put out a case against him, I think a discrimination case, saying that they're not supporting his new brand. He has a new brand of tequila. I forget the name of it. And
De Leon.
Yeah. And they're saying that he's saying that they were supposed to come aboard and actually do the same thing that they did for Ciroc. And not only did they not support him, they actually put the tequila out as an urban brand. You know what I mean? And he wanted to be more of a
fine spirits type of thing.
High class tequila or something like that.
So when they put it out as an urban brand, it's probably no better than a 40 ounce.
No, but you would put it with like 1500 or what's the other one?
Well, I mean, in terms of marketing. Yeah, because when you
this is the thing, right? Puff actually is the marketing promoting guy over there at Diageo or Diego or whatever. He did a joint venture with them for this tequila, where he thought that they would be working with them the way that he worked with them. And it doesn't seem like that's what's happening. So that's how he's trying to sue them, basically a breach of contract for them not holding up their end of the deal. However, again, when you're dealing with multi-billion-dollar corporations, they have the type of access and money to actually get you out of here.
Well, even if you find out how he came onto that situation, they approached him. Diego or Diageo, whatever they are, they approached him because they were having diversity issues. You know what I mean? So they made him like the Ronald McDonald of, Diageo. And from what I understand, he doesn't even have equity in the company Ciroc. I think they got some sort of deal where they gave him some money. I don't even think he has a percentage in Ciroc. You know what I mean? So they just paid him to be the front man of that organization. And then I guess he came back on in and was trying to do the deal with his new tequila brand.
How much does he stand to get if that lawsuit goes through?
Well, I don't know if he stand to get any. Well, he might get something, because what happens, I think they went to court and they were trying to see whether or not it was worthy or not to even go to court. So he did go through that process, and they did consider it that it's worthy to fight. I mean, it's a couple of things that Diageo has done in the past that they, got a couple of people that's suing them on some of the same kind of issues. So, he looks to stand a chance to get a good fight out of it. Whether or not he's going to win or not is another thing. Another thing is he's mudslinging the business, and pretty much his name is synonymous with Ciroc.
So do you think
what I'm seeing is that Diageo is actually the world's biggest spirits maker.
Yeah.
So that's a whole different type of money.
So, I mean, when you connect the dots to this particular case, I mean, because some people will say, look, it's because of whatever situation they had in terms of the whole big thing and protection or whatever the case is, that, the fear that he has is that this guy's going to go in here and he's going to spill his guts, and tell everything. Which, I mean, he already has confessed to this murder situation several times, but I'm pretty sure, he said in past interviews that he did all these things for Puff. Puff never looked back for him. You know what I mean? Never looked out for him, never gave him anything. You know what I mean?
He already snitched before, so I mean, there's nothing for him to go in there.
Yeah, like you got to be a dumb criminal. I mean, at the end of the day, if that's the way that you handling business, it's no wonder that you're running around snitching on people, because you're not a good criminal.
Well, even the sillier thing is like, why would Puff give you anything at this point? I wouldn't want my name associated with yours. You know what I mean? Because, what could I do to help you? I can't help you.
Could have paid this nigga to shut up.
If I help you, I really would have been in the jam long time ago. Let me tell you something. Everybody that's done any crime with that dude right now is scared to death.
How could you not be? He just telling everything.
Yeah, he's telling everything. They're gonna have to slap him to shut up. You know what I mean? So, hold on, we're not able to write this fast. Yeah, but it doesn't make any sense, man. He's sad, and you already he snitched on Puff way back when. So I don't understand how. I heard the press conference where they were talking about how now Feeney Shakur family should be, feel good about this and all the other stuff like that. This is, y'all acting like y'all just broke some major case. This has been, everybody that ever watched that video knew that this was wrong.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. This is bad. This is beyond bad police work. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's horrible police work. It makes you think that there's actually something else going on. The fact that 30 years later, all of a sudden, y'all got a hit. It don't make sense. Not to any sane person.
And then with this whole thing with this wine and spirits company, like I said, we're just saying allegedly, but I think Puff put in for his lawsuit in May.
Right.
In May. Now this case that everybody pretty much have been, Keefe D is the poster boy of everybody been saying, man, people need to shut up on these interviews.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's been doing that for the last, I don't know how many of them.
Yeah, 10 years, 10 years. He's been making these statements, saying all these things. And now, like, all of a sudden, somebody decides to look into it. Well, it really don't make sense to me.
Don't make sense.
Even in terms of like hood politics, a lot of people, have called into different shows and saying like they know this was like public knowledge in the hood for years, for decades at this point. You know what I mean? So this is the thing, is that with all the information that we get, and I'm pretty sure like the feds and the LAPD put their people out and their fillers out, they knew these things. You know what I mean? They knew it. And I'm just trying to connect the dots on like why now? Why would it make sense? We got the Puffy thing, we got this. This is Keefe D once again, man, singing on the Art of Dialogue in regards to the whole shooting situation. Now you tell me, based on what we heard from the actual confession tape, everybody's probably went back and listened to the Vlad interview since this situation happened, and then there's this. So check this out, y'all.
Go, man, and you said that you gave the gun to Big Dre, but he got cold feet. So Orlando, he ended up snatching the gun and shooting Tupac.
No, Big Dre, no.
Was Big Dre like that? Was he capable of doing that? Was he a shooter?
Them dudes was kids, man. Both of them dudes was kids back then. They was kids, dude.
Hold on.
Them dudes was kids.
That right there in itself, you know what I mean? Like, even if, because I hear people on, how stupid people are when you hear these interviews and stuff. Oh, well, he didn't actually shoot him, because they say now Suge Knight said he wasn't a shooter. That means nothing. He passed the gun to 2 children.
Right.
Yeah.
He just said it. He passed the gun to 2 minors. They actually, even if they were alive right now, he still would get more time than them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And it's just the fact that you sat back as an older person that a lot of the parties involved in this is passed on, but you would have let these kids throw their life away. The risk of all of this. You know what I mean? Which they did. They died and all, but just the fact that at the time when they were alive, you were willing to let them throw their lives away in some form or fashion.
But it's the same thing that happened with P&B Rock, where the father was the one who basically coaxed his son into going into the robbery with him. But that's what happens in our hoods. The older guys, they actually influence the younger guys to do a lot of dumb stuff, and it's just more prevalent in those gang cultures because you see it more.
You know what's sad because I might look at fall off on these little videos, prank kids and whatnot, run up in the hood and they throwing up gang signs. Man, I have seen in a lot of those videos where the older cats like just sitting on the crates, kid throws up like, "Oh, you banging? You too old to be chasing some kid talking about banging and gang signs, man." Like at some point, I mean, and these are like older dudes, man. I'm not talking about somebody that's in their 30s or something. Even that's too old to me, but
right.
You know what I mean? But you in your 40s and 50s and whatnot, and you chasing some kid down because he threw up his fingers, man.
That's the only reason that I decided I was in on talking about this because that's what this is really about. Right. You know what I mean? It's not about this whole rap garbage and, whatever, and Tupac and whatever. It's about the fact that, there's still these older people that lead these kids down this wicked path, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's a wicked path, man. And they go in here. The funny thing about it is the kids is the only one to keep it 100.
Yeah.
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 Kids only want to keep it 100. These old people want to snitch on you, man.
Yeah.
Quickly.
I'm telling you.
Quickly.
Because they can't do no time.
They ain't doing no time. Man, 60 years old. You think he gonna do it? He got to go to trial. He got no choice.
When he was brought in to court today. Just looking at him, man, I think he had a cane.
I think he got cancer from what I understand.
Yeah, no type of it's just a sad sight to see for a 60-year-old man to throw his life away, the remaining parts of his life, for some gang garbage. Not one time, but let me get this off, man, because not one time in none of these interviews that I've heard Keefe D in did he denounce what he was doing. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like you're talking about it with some type of glee or whatever. So me, listening to it as an older gentleman thinking, "Oh, this is stupid, man. Like you should have, Little Man and Ray and them don't understand it. When they listening to this stuff, they think, oh, OG spitting game. You know what I mean? And it's not something that you should want to promote when you're sitting on it, even when he's promoting his book. You know what I mean? I personally have never read his book because he pretty much told you the book on these interviews.
Yeah, and he told the whole plot.
He told the whole plot.
Yeah.
But the point is that even in that, you can say, well, the message after all of this is, I did some jacked up things in life, man. You know what I mean? And I don't want to impart that type of wisdom on to these impressionable kids or whatever, the kids in the street or whoever still looks up to you or whatever in that particular case. What do y'all think about that, man?
Even if you don't want to respect the legal aspect I guess you want to say the hoodology on this, where it's like, you just don't talk about a murder. You know what I mean? I don't care if you got off or whatever the case may be. You just don't talk about a murder. The reason being more so than anything is that you're talking about somebody's family. At the end of the day, the guy was a rapper, but that's somebody's son. That's somebody's brother. You know what I mean? It's just a crazy situation, man.
It's the internet. Everybody want to be famous now. The worst thing that could have happened was people actually listen to these old hood stories. Mm-hmm. Now all these old gangster cats, they think that they got something to say and they can become famous off it. Yeah. So they want to tell their story.
This dude one time, I believe I watched the interview with him on the research, and I think he said he was shooting, and he was like, "What was?" I think the interviewer asked him something like, "What was Pac doing?" He was like, "He was breakdancing in the back of the car," or something like that. You're talking about somebody family member that got murdered, man. You know what I mean? That's enough. You know, that's enough to make an honest person in your family hurt you. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I don't understand.
Well, you know what? I'm
gonna
just say this too, man. You know, it's kind of off book, but when I look at people like this cat, and you know, now, you know, for the last few weeks in the past couple of months or whatever, Fleece Johnson and all these cats, you know, why do we give them platforms? You know what I mean? Why do you continue to give them platforms? I understand like the clicks and the views is what everybody probably want. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what it is.
But why
would you? It's all about that attention.
Yeah, but why would you? You know, it's like you as the person that has this product that you putting out. Like, why would I want to impart that onto the world? Why would I want to give them, you know, this ignorance? To be quite honest with you, you know what I mean?
Because like it or love it, they're still going to watch it.
They're still going to watch it.
And at the end of the day, that's all it's about.
It's so sad because
it's views, clicks and views.
Clicks and views. Because I look at a person like Fleece Johnson, and I'm like, at the end of the day, this man raped men. Why would you have him on here telling stories about him raping men? And then you kind of saying it like, oh, and I read the comments on these things where people's like, oh, well, the man's a legend, an OG, this, that, and the third. He ain't an OG, he's a rapist. You know what I mean? He's a convicted rapist.
Of males.
You know what I mean? You got,
niggas a predator.
And it's like,
yeah, they got to stop that.
Even though, hey, listen. Even though I'm not comparing Keefe D's actions to Fleece Johnson's actions, it's still the same slime that you putting out in the hood, man. You know what I mean? It's still the same. Yeah. Go ahead.
It's another thing too, man, in regards to this, and it's funny how we bring this up, where it's like this guy Keefe D, right? I forget his actual government name or whatever the case may be, but Keefe D can't be who his mom birthed. You got to be Keefe D. You got to be his alter person. You know what I mean? Like, you know, once he was let out of jail and he went back down to his home in Las Vegas, and he realized he had to live a regular life. He couldn't be that person no more. You know what I mean? He wants that notoriety of, you know, I used to be something. You know what I mean?
Dwayne Keefe Davis.
Dwayne Keefe Davis. He can't be
He can't be Dwayne. He can't be Dwayne.
He can't be Dwayne no more. You know, it's funny, and I think I told, I think me and J Rob was talking about this before. One of us was talking about this, and I just read that book with Troy Reed, man, which is a great book. I never met Alpo. Yeah. I knew Albert Martinez or something like that. I just read the book, man, and the whole thing about that book is Troy Reed is saying in the book, like when he met Alpo in jail, you know what I mean? He was remorseful. He was, you know, saying that he cried for the things that he done. He said he was praying every morning, you know, whatever the case may be. But when he got on the street and he got back in New York and he got his first taste of, you know, being in New York City and these kids coming up to him and somewhat worshiping him and whatever like that in the club, he was like, the dude, he seen that night where the guy made a change, you know, back into who that person was. He loved being on the, you know, they say being on the stage.
Yeah, it's the biggest drug. It's the biggest drug and the most detrimental drug is attention. This internet now, you can get on the internet and say anything and people buy it. You can be whoever it is that you is. Not to mention the things that you would have never had an interview for or talked about previously. Now it's like a thing of legend. So you come home and everybody's idolizing you and they're giving you that attention that you used to only could get from, you know, selling drugs. Now it's like you don't even need to sell the drugs no more because this new internet thing is the new currency, the new attention.
Right. I mean, you looked at people like, you know, Peter Shue, who told his story on a lot of different platforms. And at the end of the day, like Peter Shue was saying stuff like, well, look, you know, these are things I did. However, moving forward, this, you know, what we're trying to do now. And it's like, you don't really see that out of a lot of these old casters. And it's a slew of them that's on YouTube that's coming home and they're telling their stories. And I mean, us being from the city And being from the East Coast, we don't really know these cats like this. We know them from the interviews and all of that. You know what I mean? But they're street legends from where they come from. And you got to realize that the impressionable minds that you're talking to are watching this YouTube. You know what I mean? And they're looking at how you can do it and how you did it and how they can do the 2.0 version of what you did. You know what I mean? Right. And the cycle still continue, you know?
And some of these people have the nerve to give this like double-edged sword message, whereas like they're glorifying the foolishness that they did on one hand, but then they're telling the child not to do it. Right. That child is only looking at you and saying like, I want that power. I want to be the person. I want to be the person to slice 50 people in the face on Rikers Island. You know what I mean? I want to be the person to sell drugs just like you did and go through the things that you did. You know what I mean? And get the money that you got. Right. They're not really, you know what I mean? It's crazy. But like you said, like an individual like Peter Shue doesn't seem to glorify it. You know what I mean? He comes home and he said, you know, I made a bad mistake, man. You know, everybody told on me. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
He's telling you the dangers of this thing. Now, meanwhile, here we got, you know, speaking in regards to the whole Keefe D arrest with Suge Knight, all right, who is incarcerated right now, and, you know, is going to pretty much kick it in jail, to be honest with you, because he's up there in age. But even with him still holding on to this crazy code of the streets. So check this out. He's talking to TMZ from behind bars in regards to the Keefe D situation.
Tell me what your reaction is to the arrest of Keefe D.
Well, surprise, number one, because I didn't think Keefe D would never get arrested. Nor do I want to see him get arrested. You know, let's get one thing straight, first and foremost. You know, me and Keefe D played on the same Pop Warner football team. And whatever the circumstances, if he had an involvement with anything, if he didn't have any involvement in anything, who want to see? I wouldn't wish somebody going to prison on my worst enemy.
The DA says that Keefe D was in the car with his nephew, and that presumably his nephew, according to the DA, is the one that shot Tupac, and that it was done with the full knowledge of Keefe. Do they have it right?
There was only two people in the car. And Pac not going to tell the story. I ain't going to tell the story, but I tell you this. And I never had nothing bad to say about Orlando because, number one, he wasn't the shooter. Number two, he came to my hearing and told to let me go and told the truth. They still didn't let me go.
If you are called to testify in this case?
I wouldn't be.
Why not?
Yeah, I wouldn't be.
Why not?
Well, number one, because I'm not going to get on the stand and testify on somebody for what?
They seem to be saying that Orlando was the shooter and Keefe was in on it, that he had full knowledge of what was going down, and it was revenge for Orlando getting beaten up by Tupac and his team at the MGM after the Tyson fight. Is that correct?
No.
Then who shot Tupac?
It wasn't Anderson, so that's all I got to say about that part.
To summarize, you are saying Orlando was not the shooter, although you won't say who the shooter was. You are not saying whether Keefe was involved in any way in the shooting. And you are saying that if you're called to testify by either side, you will not comply. You will not testify. Do I have that right?
1,000%. I wouldn't go. I wouldn't testify. None of that. You know, at the end of the day, free Keefe D.
You know, again, it's crazy for so many reasons. Let me tell you what the crazy part about it is, man. That man has, like, I don't even know what the offer is. So I don't know if they're trying to get him out of jail or just because he snitched or whatever. I don't know. But the man got grandchildren, man. And children, man. And, you know, yeah, I know as a kid growing up, man, we held close to these rules and things like that. But at some point, we got to be grown men. Let me tell you something, man. That savage hand two teenagers a gun to go kill somebody on a major strip in a major city. People like that need to be off the street, man. Yeah, I mean, that's my personal opinion, man.
I understand where you're coming from. You're speaking from a different place. But if it was a situation where you actually had to go back to that same hood and live, I don't think that you would do it. I don't think that you would
go back there.
Yeah, but if you had to, if that's where, all right, you getting out because you make this statement, you got to go back there, because you remember you're gonna have parole and all that. So you got to be in that hood. And what's going to happen in that hood when they find out, you're going to die. So you better off not doing.
60-something-year-old man.
I understand that, but even a 60-year-old man don't want to be walking with their grandkid and get shot in the back of the head.
Honestly speaking, I don't even think that's the way we live no more. I don't think nobody cares. As much as many people tell now, I don't think anybody cares. I think
I feel you, but that's Suge Knight. If Suge, that's Suge Knight.
You know what that's about?
Suge
That's
Knight
really
the same
more
Suge Knight he was in the 90s in 2023. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
But you know, but you know what that's really about more so than that? It's about 65-year-old street credibility. He wants to be able to say, I stood tall. I never told on him and all that other. All right, man, whatever, man.
What does it do for you?
Know what I mean? Bottom line, he going to jail anyway.
not to mention, based upon his statement where he just said he seen who it was. So how come he didn't do nothing? But you're supposed to be this super gangster, right? Suge Knight.
Well, the thing too is that how many times you seen him say like, "Yo, I love Pop, love his family," you know what I mean, stuff like that. All right, if you love the dude, you could have had closure on this years ago, man. When his mother was alive, you could have had closure on this. You know what I mean?
And I say that for the innocent people in his family that may want that closure, But the funny thing is, Pop's brother or friend Mo Preem, and he's talking about it, and he was saying like, so many words. He was saying like he was skeptical about what's going down and what's going to took place, and he seemed like he was all for catching this person or whatever case may be. And that's kind of the contradiction I get with him. I thought Mo Preem and all of them was thug life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I thought y'all was thug life, And this is the thing that bugs me out with all of this street contradiction bull crap. It all depends on who get killed, and then everybody say we're gonna find the
and who did it. Because at the end of the day, for real, if everybody was so as thorough as they claim to be, there would have been some type of retaliation.
Yeah, I mean, just like Nipsey Hussle. You know what I mean? Like he lived by the code. He was in the street. He wanted to, and granted, everybody want to talk about what he did as far as like, his businesses and what he was trying to do in the neighborhood, but he still was promoting gang culture. You know what I mean? So again, now that his person, shot him, now it's to say, all right, well, he got to go to jail. You know what I mean? Now we want to be cops now.
It's really sad when you think about it, because like you said, or like we were saying earlier, these are old men. Like what are you guys talking about?
Man.
You know what I'm saying? What are you talking about right now?
Some of the stuff I hear in the interview, I'm like, it's none of this stuff is edifying at all. But let me ask y'all a question. 27 years, okay? I guess you can say case closed. Do you think they'll ever make any movement on Big while his mother's still alive?
That woman has been fighting to find out what's going on with her son's death and trying to get some answer to. There's a tape here basically telling you what happened.
Right.
You know what I mean? And nobody's followed up on that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Keefe D literally says Puff gave the whole game of how Puff Daddy paid him. And I'm not saying that it's true, but I definitely would say it's worth, following up on as far as police work is concerned.
Now, do you think when they start shaking this tree and that type of stuff start falling out, how does that fare for Puff? And especially Puff being in New York and killing one of New York's most beloved entertainers, you know what I mean? So, like, say, if that was the case, if that was something that could allegedly tie Puff back to whatever took place with Big.
But they been said that information been out a long time.
This information was out a long time too, but I mean, when they actually start digging, And that information, until is, for the purpose of this show, until it's proven right, is alleged. So like say, if we can, if they could tie it back to say, all right, well, he had a connection to Big's death, which, most people sitting there anticipating maybe this is what's going to come out in these, confessions, man.
That's what I honestly think the big picture is. Mm-hmm. I honestly think the big picture is that. And again, I know he got to be somewhere scared to death. You know what I mean? Because if nothing else, he about to go to court for, a boatload of money, paying a boatload of legal fees. There's probably a bunch of attorneys somewhere like with blood in their mouth right now. Just like, man, look how much money is on the table. I'm quite sure he's going to get the Johnny Cochrans of this time to fight the whole case. But
this is the thing. They said that he made $60 million annually from doing that marketing promotion with Diego or Diage, whatever it is. So he got it. You know what I mean? What I don't understand is that if he was truly trying to run around and put hits on people for $1 million, why did he stop? Like when this man first started running his mouth, or when Big got killed, why didn't you retaliate? Unless it's bigger than what we actually thinking.
I think in his term, because Puff was more of a businessman than he was, you know what I mean? And there would be no profit in running around putting hits on everybody. At least not in the standpoint.
You know what?
I don't know.
I really thought. I thought he thought the right people was dead, and it just wasn't going. I guess he thought this kid was going to go fade off into the dark and stop running his mouth on internet or whatever the case may be. And I think he just thought it was going to go away, man. I think it was going to go up under the rug. It had been under the rug for so long.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I just thought it was going to go under the rug. No. You know what I mean? And really, the crazy portion about it is go back to what we said. This stuff is really just like surfaced really big right after he put this lawsuit against this $1 billion organization.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Now all of a sudden everything coming up.
Yeah. So it's amazing that that it's just coming to this. And again, I go back to this, like what's Biggie's mom's name? Viola.
No, I'm saying Viola Davis. Viola Wallace.
Viola Wallace. That's right.
Yeah.
So
Valletta
Wallace. I'm sorry, I'm messing up the name. I mean, this woman has been trying to figure out, what's going on with her son's murder for a long time, man. And the fact that these guys have just now seem like they want to do something about this is absolutely ridiculous.
Before we really close this topic off, I thought about this a lot in terms of these murder cases. Is that when Big died, right? And it seemed like a lot of people, and by her own words, said that a lot of people did get rich after her son's death, right? A lot of money after he died. Why do you think that a lot of these people who claim to have loved him and had money, and I'll be honest with you, the Puffs and whatnot, why they never put money behind it to proceed to have the investigation go further? You know what I mean? Like, you never hired anybody to look further into this thing, or
that says a lot, right?
Yeah, because they was with it. They was with it. It would lead you to believe that the person that did the killing, it was an authorized hit. Yeah, that's what it would lead you to believe.
Right. Because
that's what I was saying. Like, if he has all this money, he's making all this money, and he was already running around putting contracts on people. What is it to be like, figure out the information? It was that guy that did it. All right, here go whatever. Put it on his head.
Yeah, well, that's tough.
Maybe Keefe D was too strong, because everybody else in that situation is dead. Everybody on the East and West.
No other genre of music, entertainment, or anything go through what our people go through. No other genre of entertainment put their people through what our people go through.
Sad.
Right.
You know what I mean? And this is music. This is something that nurture your, if I can say such a thing, nurture your creativity and things like that, and allow you to be able to express yourself. But nobody else puts hits on,
no
people. At least not that we know
music,
of. No, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
right. At least not that we know of.
That we know of.
Yeah.
No other genre of music is this destructive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, when you listen to our music, rap music, and
Murder, Death, Kill.
Murder, Death, Kill. No, I mean, country music ain't like that. You can name them all, man. Latin music, You know what I mean? With the exception of Latin rap, I'm assuming that, you know, there's some of that in there, but that's based off of our stuff. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
So we're going to act out what, you know, we project. And that's the sad part about it, is that we look at, and we spoke about this on several of these shows, but you look at how women are showed, how women are displayed, how men are displayed. You know what I mean? You got three categories. Either you got women, I'm going to be honest with you, are being trampy. You got guys that's acting sweet, or you got guys that's too street. You know what I mean? And somewhere down the line in that pot, everybody's at war. The frequency of the murder and stuff within the rap community, the hip hop community, like you said, very destructive music, is more higher in death than it was in our time. Like say in our time, we had Pac, we had Big, and those cases and documentaries and everything was shown so much you got tired of watching it. It was the same story pretty much. And then what, you might have had a Freaky Ty, you might have had a Big L. These things happen, you know, Scott LaRock, these things was like peppered all over the place. You know what I mean? Like Jam Master Jay and all them. People that you think, well, I don't understand who would run up in a spot and kill Jam Master Jay, but, you know, it happened. But now you see, like, every time you turn on the news or whatever, you look at any type of feed, little this person is dead, little that person is dead, that person is dead. You know what I mean?
I just think that's good for news. Because to be honest with you, I think this new generation of rappers, anybody can be considered somebody now. You know what I mean? Like, you know, in order to be a rapper back then, you had to be like somebody, a known, well known.
You had to be official to actually be out there and be talking what you was talking in our time. Now these little dudes, they can just jump on the internet, make a song, and, you know, be whoever they want to be.
I seen this video the other day, and what happens is, I don't know if it was out of Chicago or whatever, but these kids were performing. This kid goes up to the stage where the guy's performing and just start banging, like, you know, he's throwing up gang signs. This guy jumped off the stage and beat the brakes off this kid. You know what I mean? And it was out there in Chicago, as a matter of fact. And I'm like, yo, like, they all jumped up, just whooped this kid's behind real quick. Security had to get him up out of there. And they just went back to performing like it was nothing. You know what I mean? And I'm like,
but
somebody's probably going to have to die. This is sad, man.
I think it just sells papers now. Or well, I can't sells paper, but just, you know, get clicks and views. So if you say little such and such is dead, you know, a rapper or whatever case may be, it's not, he probably don't even got a record that nobody even know about. But it just, you know, it's a clickbait. You know what I mean? So you click on it or whatever. Like half of these kids that get shot and killed, you know, they're not even really rapping. I mean, like, they're not registered as far as having a hit. But
it's sad, man. It's just a sad state of affairs to see what this whole thing turned into, man.
Let me say this. You know what's sad about the dude Keefe D that really? What about his sister? If Orlando Anderson is his nephew, what about his sister or whoever he's related to? How would you look him in the face knowing he sent your kid on a dummy mission? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
That's their culture. Like I said, that's just like the mother of the kid that was with, you know, when they did the P&B thing. Mm-hmm. Like she was all into it too. Yeah. And they because that's their culture. Crazy. That's what they grow up in.
Yeah. And we don't know if his mom was any gangster.
Yeah.
Like that, but you know, yeah. But it's sad that it has to be this way, man. But I know, just to close out, that trial is going to be a circus. So I'm pretty sure we'll be covering this stuff again.
Well, he got to go. He either got to go to trial or he got to cut a deal.
I think he'll cut a deal
because he's too old. He's too old to go to. He's too old to take a 20-year plea out or something like that.
Yeah, I think he'll cut a deal. But if they do go to trial, that's going to be a circus.
If he do 20 years, that might as well be life for him. I think he's 60 years old.
I would be remiss if I didn't mention this. You know, I'm a self-proclaimed conspiracy theorist. Mm-hmm. There is a ledger out there that says that Puff Daddy, P Diddy, was also at that island with
Epstein.
So could the whole Keefe D thing just be a smokescreen because they got to book this cat and take him up out of here because he was messing with them kids?
Allegedly.
But everybody that was on the ledger going to that island was involved in some type of trafficking or some type of human trafficking.
Well,
but hey, man, listen.
But
I don't ask why. I'll ask why not.
Mm.
There's a lot of sick stuff out there, man. I told J-Rob, that human trafficking been going on for years, man.
Yeah, man.
You know, people just hearing about it now, but it's been going on for years, man.
Yeah, definitely. All right, brother. So we're gonna wrap up, man, and get ready to call this one a day. But we'll keep our ear to the ground because I'm pretty sure that there's going to be a lot of information that comes out on this particular story. And then don't let it be a distraction from the real issues out there, folks. I mean, this is just hood politics, but there's some real stuff going on out there within the government. You might want to keep your ear to the ground on. All right,
don't let these old people send you on a dummy mission, man. Right. Leave them old people alone, man.
Yep. The Only One Mic podcast is available on all platforms you stream your podcast on. Also, check out our Only One Mic podcast YouTube channel to catch up on the past and current episodes. Don't forget to rate the show and subscribe. And check out our Instagram and Twitter at The Only One Mic P1, Facebook and LinkedIn at The Only One Mic Podcast, and email us at theonlyonemic00@gmail.com. You can also call us at 302-367-7219 to have your comments and questions played on the show. We thank you once again for your time and encourage you, please, to speak the truth quietly and clearly and listen to others, even the dull and the ignorant, because they too have their story to tell. So until next time, please keep in mind that we never had to run from the Ku Klux Klan, so we shouldn't have to run from a black man. Peace.
Streets is a myth.
Rest in peace, fucking big.